Ultimate Discount Tire. Hey everyone, so I finally got them. New wheels and tires. All right, these are the 19 by 8.5 inch Konig Oversteers, and they're awesome, okay? They're really cool. So I'm gonna tell you a number of reasons why I think these are the best wheels and tires. I'm gonna do a direct comparison between these and the 18-inch stock wheel and tire. The real weight comparison. If you remember, the stock 18-inch wheels on the Model 3 are the lightest wheels that Tesla makes. And real height, overall tire diameter comparisons. I'm then gonna do a basic driving comparison, comfort, overall ride. But please subscribe, because my next video is gonna be an overall performance test. I'm gonna be doing stopping tests, okay? 60 to 0, acceleration, 0 to 60. Then I'm gonna do some slalom. I've got a draggy, we'll get a bunch of numbers out of it. Now, the comparison though is going to be between the stock 18-inch, but I do have the Michelin Sport All Seasons. And these are the Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss. So why do I think these are the best wheels and tires overall? Well, first let's look at the tires. Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss. These are pretty much the best tires out there, all right? The best high performance tires out there that you can drive on the street overall, all right? I can't tell you more than the hundreds of reviews have already said, so I'm not gonna try to say too much more. So now the wheels, they look really good. They're not 100% what I wanted, if I'm being honest, but a good 80 to 90% of what I wanted, and for the price, they're simply awesome. I really wanted the signature wheels. I don't know if you guys have seen these, the SV104s were kind of my favorite, I think. These are custom forged monoblock, but we're talking like $4,000, okay? $4,000. And what did these cost? Like $800, okay? $200 a wheel versus like $1,000 a wheel. I can overlook a lot for $800 a wheel. $3,000 buys a lot of, I'm all right with that. Okay, so these are the 235/40/19s. The stock 18-inch size is 235/35/18. Okay, real world weight. Not the figures they give you online for the tire and the wheel, but actual real world weight. Now again, all the comparisons I do are not with the factory Michelin tires, but with the Pilot All Seasons that I have. But that factory setup, 47.1 pound. Again, the factory wheels are really light. Typically, you pay $200 a wheel. You're usually gonna get some pretty heavy wheels, but not these. Wheel and tire combined, 48.1 pound. That's just 1 more pound difference. That's astounding. I looked at a ton of wheels and tires. I mean, a ton of them. All of the wheels were heavy, way heavier. And that was a big deal for me. Again, those signatures had everything, right? They look beautiful, custom forged, meaning you could get the exact offset that you want. You wanted them in more, out more, whatever, no more wheel spacers. So that saves a couple pounds right there. On top of that, the wheels are really light. Not way lighter, but 2-3 pounds lighter than these, easy. Everything else I looked at was a few pounds at least heavier than these. I honestly got worried. I thought once I got these that the spec was gonna be way off and they were actually gonna be heavy. They're not heavy. And yeah, with an EV, not only am I worried about range, a little bit about range, but performance, all right? And those two kind of go hand in hand, right? The more efficient the car is, generally the quicker, the faster it is. I don't want to become less efficient and have less performance. I mean, I would sacrifice a little bit to look good, but not that much, which brings me to another thing. So I just went with the 235s all the way around, right? These are all 235s. Well, again, a couple reasons. Efficiency, cost is a factor, and then weight, okay? You've got to buy a bigger wheel to put a wider tire on there, although it does look a lot better to put some nice big meats on the back, you know, in the front too, but to get some big nice tires on the back, it looks awesome, but it's heavier and it's more expensive, and it's not worth it. I don't slip, okay? 0 to 60, those tests, I'm not slipping. I'm not losing traction in that way at all. It might help improve some cornering, but with these tires, I don't know. I'm not racing the car, so how much traction do I need? It just wasn't worth it overall. And when you space these out properly, it doesn't look like a narrow little tire back there. So watch my other video on wheel spacers. I think I've got the 15 millimeter up front and 20 in the back. I use those same wheel spacers on here, and they turned out, I think they're pretty much right on, maybe a little further out than I wanted, but I don't know. I kind of don't think so. This front tire, I maybe want it in just a little bit more, but from up here, I don't know. That's looking good. That's looking pretty good to me. This rear, I think, is right on. These wheels come with a little bit better offset than the factory. From the factory, they really push these wheels and tires in. It does help with efficiency. So with the wheels and tires out, you're gonna get more turbulence around here. You're not gonna get as much efficiency. Now, have I noticed that? No, because you know how hard it is to figure out to drive the exact same way every time. I mean, if you hit one stoplight on one trip that you didn't on the other, your efficiency drastically has changed. So did I lose a couple percent here? Maybe, probably, but it's nothing that I notice. And yeah, it's well worth the cost. Alright, here is the diameter difference. I actually thought that these came in on paper, you know, what they said the specs. I thought these were a higher diameter than these. This is the 18-inch Pilot Sport All Season 235, 45, 18, and then Michelin Pilot Sport S 235, 40, 19. And again, I thought these were going to be taller. I think they are taller on the spec. I can try to look that up. But if we see, and now also, this tire is like a week old. This is like brand new. And this was driven on a little bit. And if we look at this level, make that approximately level. And we got about that much gap, whatever that is. It's closer to a quarter, maybe even less than a quarter. All right, I'm going to try to give you some first impressions because people always ask, or I always see these questions, going from 18 to 19-inch wheels, you know, is there a difference? When you change the diameter of the wheel, that aspect ratio, is it a big difference? Well, going from 18 to 19, which I've never done before, honestly, I'm not feeling that big of a difference. You also have to remember I'm changing tires. So I'm going from the Michelin Pilot AS 4s, so the all-season 4s, to the Pilot Sport 4s, which is not an all-season, you know, it's basically a summer tire. I'm not feeling that big of a difference in terms of the road being any more rough or harsh, the ride being any harsh. I'm not feeling that. Harshness, especially for Teslas, well, this would really be with any car. You pump the tires up to 42 PSI, guess what? It's going to ride harsher. The ride is going to be more harsh. Not necessarily harsh, but more harsh. You're going to feel more things because you just pumped the tires up to 42 PSI, and people have pretty much gone through their entire lives driving cars around at 32 PSI. That's a big difference. 32 to 42 PSI, it's a big difference. If you're driving your Tesla around and you don't like feeling all the little bumps, you feel like, my God, this thing is driving like way more uncomfortable than my normal car that I'm used to, let some air out of the tires. It's that simple. Just drop the PSI down. When you get the car, it's going to be at 42 PSI. If you get new tires put on, if you take it to any garage, they know what they're doing, they're gonna pump them up to 42 psi. I got these new tires, guess what? They pumped them up to 42 psi because that's what they tell them to pump it up to. That's what the spec is. So take some air out of the tires. But you got to remember, you're going to lose range. Is it massively significant? No, not massively significant. Most people, especially if you're driving around in warm climate, you don't really notice the range anyway. If you're used to the range, then okay. But just know you're going to lose some range on it. Maybe I'll look that up, but it's going to be 1%, maybe 2%, something like that. It's really not that big of a deal. The type of tire you have also, some tires are more efficient than others. The tires that they give you with this car are definitely more efficient. You can see some of the specs like that you go to TireRack.com, and they test these tires. I think Consumer Reports does testing on them where they compare them and they tell you how efficient they are. But if you get a tire that's less efficient, same PSI, you're not going to get the range anyway. So anyway, enough talk about that. Getting back to the difference with changing the aspect ratio 18 to 19 inch. I can't say I'm noticing anything. Keep in mind, I've got the Mountain Pass Performance adjustable coilovers, and I have them adjusted midway or a little bit on the rougher side. So keep that in mind. But that's what I've been driving with for the other tires. So driving these around now, I gotta say, I'm not feeling or hearing much of a difference. One thing I'm noticing with these tires though, and you know, they're supposed to be more sticky, but I'm pretty sure they're picking up more little road pebbles and things. You know, on a normal road, I'm not hearing it, but I'm driving through some areas where I was just doing some testing, and I wasn't picking up that many little pebbles and things. I'm driving through it, you can hear everything just getting picked up and thrown around in the wheel wells. It's like, what is going on here? These tires are stickier. That's all there is to it. They are stickier tires. So then for cornering, so what I've noticed is, you got to remember the Pilot Sport, the all-season Pilot, those are good tires. Those are really good tires. And when I went from the factory, the Michelin factory tires to the Pilot Sports, I noticed a difference, and they were better, kind of all the way around. But yeah, I noticed a difference. Those are good quality tires. But I gotta say, when I corner hard in those tires, I feel a little bit of there's a little bit of a mush kind of in the corner, and then it just kind of, it's not like a straight mush. This is going to sound funny, but it's not like a straight mush and then it settles in. It kind of doesn't settle in, and the only way I realize that now really is with these tires. These tires kind of just, they're smooth. You take a corner real hard, and I just got done doing my slalom testing, and took a couple other corners kind of hard, and they just kind of feel really neutral, and the traction feels just consistent. Like, it's not changing. It's not like all of a sudden I feel like I've got a lot of traction, then I lose a little, then I have a little. It just feels consistent, just kind of feels controlled, and not like it's going to break loose or anything like that. And I haven't taken it to the extremes. I don't know where it's going to break loose, and I kind of really don't want to find out where it's going to break loose. But the other tires felt like they might just kind of let go at a certain point. So yeah, if you're coming from a low quality tire to something like this, you're going to be really, really, really impressed.